Welcome to the Closing Table with host Tamera, where we break down how to be successful in real estate and what it's really like to work in the real estate business. This is the Closing Table with Lawyer's Title.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Tamera. Today we're going to talk about what does real estate look like right now. But first, if you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. So let's get a conversation going about your title needs. You can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. Today's guest is actually a returning guest. His name is Chris Ohlig. He is a top producing realtor with Compass, and he's also the owner of Smile Property Management. Also the one that manages all of my rental properties. So thank you very much for agreeing to take a little time out and come on the show with me today, Chris.
Well, thanks again for having me.
The last time you were on, in which I'm not promising that we won't talk about this again because I think people are really interested in it, but we did talk about investment properties and we focused on property management. So we might tap into a little bit of that today. But first, let's set the stage. What is today? We're in April.
Thursday.
No, that's not helpful. It is April 18th. We've kicked off the spring selling season.
Yep.
We did have the NAR stuff come out, which we were kind of wondering if that was going to cause a little bit of a slump. Money is more expensive right now. It just went back up again. Yay, that's sarcasm. Let's talk about what, with all of these things in mind, what are you seeing right now when you're working with your clients?
Right now, we're seeing people coming off the fence finally. I think
really?
we had a lot of people that were waiting for rates to come down, and I think they've realized they can't continue to wait. They just need to go ahead and jump into it, and if rates come down, they'd come down. They can refinance. If they don't, they're just missing out on an opportunity to own a house. So, and with sellers, it's still being... the entire market is really driven by the 5 Ds, which are diapers, people having babies.
I was wondering where we were going. Okay. Yeah. Now I get it. Diapers. Divorce.
Yeah, diamonds when people, or diplomas when people graduate and become empty nesters. Diamonds when people get engaged. Divorce, and then death.
The ultimate one.
Yeah. So the 5 Ds drive everything, and those things happen every day, and they're happening, I think, more frequently to the boomer generation. They're all
silver tsunami. Isn't that what we're calling it? The silver tsunami. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I teach you something?
You did. I have not heard that.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of people that are 60 to 75 start to pass away, and just kind of like we were talking about a minute ago, is we're seeing the need that we have with title companies and stuff is we're getting those calls of, hey, I need to sell my house. I just inherited it. My parents just passed away. What do I need to do? And we're seeing a lot of that right now.
Okay.
And we're seeing a lot of people, my age, in their upper 30s, young 40s, that are inheriting property that they probably don't want it because it's not near them, or it's not
updated,
updated. Yeah, because some of the older people, they're old school. They lived there for literally 40, 50 years, never really did updates because they didn't care to. They were just very conservative with money, and these are dilapidated houses that need work, and they just don't know what to do. It's not like a normal market.
Yeah. My dad did a bathroom. Amity, you are not to clip this and put this on Facebook, okay? But my dad did a bathroom remodel unsupervised, meaning no women were around when he did it. And then I get to his house, and he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, he goes, do you like it? And I was like, do you like it?
You put a urinal in there? Or?
No, blue countertops.
Okay. Yeah.
And then around the sinks, he put a backsplash. This little tile black backsplash.
Just strange. Around the sink? Like
in the back and the side, if there was a side.
Normally they'll do like they'll continue the granite or whatever around
right.
it. Yeah.
No, these are multicolored tiles.
Okay.
With a like a copper colored frame around it. And then there's the most ornate dark wood mirror. Like it looks like a piece of something antique with the ornate design. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I just said, well, do you like it? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's what's important.
Yeah. And that's what we tell people when they call us to remodel their house, and they say, is this going to add value?
Yeah.
And we look at brass that was popular in the 90s, and then all of a sudden brushed nickel became popular, and then rubbed bronze, and now we're back to the brass
and wallpaper, and yep.
Yeah, so we tell people we don't know what the style is going to be when you go to sell that house in 5, 10, 20 years. So do what you like, and if someone else likes it later, cool.
Well, as a buyer, I prefer to do my own changes. I'd rather get the house cheaper, do my own changes, but that's not how most buyers think that well, let's take my colony house that we're trying to sell as a primary example. Yeah. Not everything has been updated. It was an investment property, but it's not turnkey. It's not 100% turnkey, right?
I would say it's 100%.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, I would say it's 100% turnkey minus a couple small, very, very small, couple $100 worth of just touch-up things. And we let people know that.
Yeah.
There's some touch-up things that need to be taken care of. But other than that, someone could literally move into it tomorrow.
Well, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's, I just think if the house isn't completely perfect, ready to sell, then the first-time home buyer doesn't want it. And to me, I would rather, I understand it's cash out of the pocket, and that's where the problem comes in for especially a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
To do the remodels, that's money they have to pay themselves. But with that consideration aside, I prefer to go in and make my own changes, because what you do in the house isn't necessarily what I'm going to like.
Yeah.
And I get to do it the way I want it.
I think that's why we're also seeing a lot of people move towards new construction. We're seeing a lot of new construction. We always have.
A lot of new construction. Well, the rates are what, 4.5, 5? They're
super cheap.
Builder lender rates are.
Yeah, you're seeing. I think I saw one for 3.99.
3.99.
Yeah, I want to say.
Where was that? Jesse wants to know.
I think it was Taylor Morrison or someone was offering that. But yeah, you're seeing rates down in the 4s and low 5s for builders, and they buy the rate down, right?
Right.
Because they do mass production, so they buy these mortgages in bulk.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they buy the mortgages in bulk, so they get a discount on them. So they pass that on, plus they buy it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you have to use their preferred lender, because obviously they're the ones facilitating the mortgage and things like that. So we're seeing people go there for rates, but we're seeing people go there because there's inventory, they're newer, and they're blank slate. No one's lived there, so they're not having to peel wallpaper off. They can pick things out themselves before they buy the house. And if they buy it like Express Homes, right? They're a branch of D.R. Horton, where you don't get to pick anything out. They just build the house and you buy it the way it is. You pick the floor plan out pretty much, and the lot if you're lucky. And with those, you can come in and every house is exactly the same paint scheme inside. So you can do whatever you want once you're inside. And I think people like that.
The house I live in now is new construction. I built it. It was a spec home, so I didn't get to pick the outside. The buyer fell out, and I took it at a bigger discount.
Yep.
But I got to pick out all the stuff on the inside, and I like that very much. I also like that no one had ever lived there. Yeah. But it's really hard to compete with new construction right now. But going back to like what you're seeing and what the clients that you're working with. I was just at a lunch and we were talking about multiple offers. Are we at over ask offers again? What are you seeing, like open houses or offer levels? Are we back to a lot of traction in our open houses? What are you seeing?
So, like, we listed a house just recently in Richardson. We close on it next week, and we had, I think, 8 offers on it.
What is it? It's
listed at $900,000.
Okay. Where is it in Richardson?
It's east of 635, east of 75, south of 635.
Okay.
Or north of 635. Plano ISD.
Okay.
So that side of Richardson.
It's a bigger house than at 900.
It's 3,600 square feet.
Okay.
So really not even that big. Had a nice yard. Has a nice pool. Has a nice backyard.
Why do you think you got 8 offers on it?
Because we did a great job marketing it.
Well, yes, there is that. Yes, there is that. You always do it. You do an incredible job marketing properties.
To be honest, I don't know why. We got there's not a lot of inventory in that neighborhood.
Okay.
The offer we ended up taking was an agent buying it for herself, And the minute we put that house on the market, within a minute, she had scheduled a showing, and for like an immediate showing. And within 30 minutes of her showing it, she had an offer to us. So
wow, she wanted it.
I think we're seeing that. We're seeing some pent-up demand and not a lot of supply yet.
Okay.
So when that right house hits, a lot of people are going. Yeah.
That was one thing they were talking about today is the inventory shortage.
Yeah, we're still seeing that, which is where builders.
Where are we? Are we? I should know the answer to that. I'm sorry, but what? 2.5 months? 2 months?
I think
inventory?
it varies by city. I don't even know.
Okay, it's part of our monthly stats. I could look it up in half a second, but
yeah, it's still low. It's still low. There's not a lot of listings so we're not seeing a drive up of inventory like people expected. So we're not seeing a lot of price reductions and things like that. But yeah, I think that's it. That we have pent up demand for housing. People that were on the sideline are now coming off, and there's not a lot of inventory. So we're seeing multiple offers. I wouldn't say they're above list price always.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Are they over ask offers, or are they coming in at list?
We've gotten some that are over list price. I'd say most offers we're getting are still 3 to 5% below, because that's what they were used to for the last year, or that's what their agents are advising them on, because agents don't adapt very quickly. So the market, we had the weird downturn from 2022 into 2023 where people were started making low offers. Yeah. And now that we're swinging back into our normal market again, they're still in that make low offers, mentality. And they're trying to justify it with, well, because of the rate, the payments. Like, well, then shop a lower price home. Mm-hmm. Don't come insult the seller because you can't afford something.
I think that's always been just one of those like regular rubs as being a realtor is a buyer trying to get into a house they actually just probably can't afford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People always want to go at their max of their budget. I don't understand that mentality at all. I live well below my means on purpose. And so, but I think that buyers think a lender says you're approved to $500,000 and they're like, well, I need a $500,000 house. No, you probably need a $400,000 house.
Yeah. And that's where a really good lender, good agents have good lender partners, and lender partners that show you, multiple scenarios of, hey, here's a scenario at 400,000, here's a scenario at 500,000, 600.
I like it when lenders do that.
Yeah, and show like your payment and what to really expect. And if you don't go with the $600,000 house, you go with the $400,000 house. The savings every month, and if you were to save that over the course of 3 years, then you could use that money down to buy an investment property. And the lenders that really take the time to strategize long-term investment for that client, so they can get repeat business as well, both for them and for us, the realtor helping. It's a huge asset, because some lenders are just there to sell that house that one time and call it a day. And there's a lot of those out there, and we're starting to see more of them pop up now because of what's happening with the NAR stuff and the settlement, proposed settlement. And we're seeing agents now saying, well, I think I'm going to get my mortgage license.
Oh yeah.
So that I can get paid at least on that side and whatever.
Look, the best lenders are the local, and look, they're not always competitive with the rates, right? Because every time I'm trying to buy something, I call Kelly and I'm like, because escrow officers see all the interest rates.
That's true.
On all the financing documents. And
have y'all thought about tracking those?
For what?
Like putting, like every month, just taking all of the APRs or rates, like who the lender is, price point and rate, and just tracking it in a spreadsheet so you could actually at the end of the month see.
That sounds terrible.
You're not doing it. Have someone else do it.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. And it's kind of along the lines of what I'm saying. So I call Kelly because she works with a lot of lenders also. I mean, she has a big book of lender clients. And I'm like, okay, so tell me who's got the cheapest rates right now. Yeah. And that's what I did with the transaction that I'm involved in right now. And she said, I was like, did you talk to Chris Ohlig? Because Rocket Mortgage.
Is that who you used?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not done anything yet. And then.
Well, is that who you're planning to use, I guess.
I love my lender clients, so we're not going to reel this one either, Amity. We're not going to talk about who I use. The fact that I even said on a podcast that I'm using you as my agent could get me in a lot of trouble.
It's all right. I think anyone listening to this that knows you knows that I'm good, so they're not going to.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, that's the answer. That's right. Look, you and I put a lot of work into this property. Okay, you deserve the listing. Absolutely. Like, we have been down this road. You brought me that property. You property manage it, so you deserve to sell it.
Good.
That's right. Providence Lending and Rocket Mortgage, I think, is who she
recommended.
So
look, Rocket is really great if you're rate shopping.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, and you don't need your hand held through the entire transaction. I wouldn't recommend them for a first-time buyer.
No, if you know what you're doing,
but
and
if you know
I've done enough transactions.
I mean, I use Rocket Mortgage, and I mean, my lender partners are great, and I'll still go to them for things that I need. And I do have one of my mortgages with one lender partner and another mortgage with another lender partner. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm refinancing something and I don't need my handheld, and I'm really for investment property, I just want the best rate.
Yep.
Rocket Mortgage is, for the most part, unbeatable. And if you ask every real estate broker or mortgage broker out there who they broker their loans through, 99% of them are going to say we broker them through Rocket anyways. So,
but to kind of extend on your point, they're good for a buyer who is savvy at buying and selling real estate. I think there's an incredible amount of value in partnering with a local lender that actually cares about building real estate relationships, cares about their reputation, and will handhold a buyer through the process. And because, look, when you go to a Rocket Mortgage, you're literally filling out an application online. You'll probably talk to a different person every time, so there's not that relationship building part of it. And I think we have some amazing local lenders that really care about working with buyers and realtors. And and so using a local broker, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're still probably going to get a pretty good rate because they're shopping it through. They're getting it through Rocket anyways, but you're building that local, that personal relationship with a local person. And you need that guidance with a buyer, you know? You asked about this, or you said you mentioned the NAR settlement. I'm curious, how many of your clients have asked you about it?
One.
Out of all the clients?
Out of all of them. Yeah, we had.
What about you, Jesse? Has any of your clients asked you about the NAR settlement? And then conversely to that, the lunch I had today was with 3 realtors, and they all said they had several clients asking them about it.
So I have one client that we're about to list, and she brought it up, but not about that. She's working on getting her real estate license, so she's a little more reading into the news and, Housing Wire and things like that. My other client, his daughter's also a realtor. He owns a bunch of investment properties, and we're about to list his house. And the day that it got announced and really kind of went viral amongst the real estate community, I don't know if maybe his daughter told him about it or if it came up in conversation over dinner or what. She's an out-of-state realtor. That's why she's not selling the house. But he immediately brought it up. He said, how does this NAR settlement affect, the commission I'm going to pay? And
it doesn't.
Very quick reply. It doesn't. For one, it's hasn't even been approved by a court.
Yep.
If it does get approved, it's not going to be until late summer.
Yep.
We don't even know what that's going to look like at that time. And the same thing, commissions have always been negotiable. They've never been set. A seller has never had to pay a commission. So it's not going to change how things are done. It will change how things are done, but it's not really going to change how things go.
Right. And I think that's, we were talking about it today, and, I said, look, there's still a lot of things kinks that have to be worked out between now and July. Right. And so this could look a little bit different, until they ink the deal.
Yeah.
It could change or look a little bit different. I saw Emmett produced an article about having, trying to make some changes to the VA loan, right? Because veterans can't pay buyer commission, right? So that's one issue that's one of those kinks that's got to be smoothed out. So, I think we'll see things reshape a little bit as they're working on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the big things, and we talked about this before, the big things were no longer listing commission in MLS. And then now you've got to get a buyer rep signed. You're supposed to get a buyer rep signed before you show them a house.
Which
There's
you
other
should
little
anyways.
things.
Yeah. I mean, the buyer's rep thing, when I hear, I don't know how it is in other states, but in Texas, if you don't have a buyer's rep sign prior to working with someone, you automatically need to be working in the best interest of the seller automatically. So anyone who was taking clients out or taking someone out without a signed buyer's rep agreement and giving them advice on what they should offer and doing all that, they were already working for the seller and could be sued by the seller for not working in the seller's best interest. So any agent that has a problem with the way this is being proposed at a national level, if they're complaining about it here, then they don't know what they're doing anyways. And those are usually the people that are complaining about this proposed settlement.
I think conversely, to kind of counter that, and you can give me your thoughts on this, and I heard they said that this today at lunch, like, now, what if the buyer, what if I don't know the buyer, right? And sometimes the buyer, I mean, I understand we're talking about losing business here, but she said, I don't feel good about trying to make them sign an agreement when we don't even know if we want to work together.
Yeah, which is fine. You just can't give them advice. You can go out and if you want to show a property and give tell them about the house. They can decide if they like you based on your personality or whatever. That's completely fine. But the second you start giving advice and giving comps and anything like that, then you're working against the seller who you are legally supposed to be representing or working in the best interest of without a signed buyer's rep agreement. Compass created a form years ago that we've been using, and the buyer's rep agreement's like 6 or 7 pages, and it's long and kind of clunky. Compass has a 1-page buyer's rep agreement. It says who the parties are, what the terms are in terms of dates, what the commission's going to be, and like what areas we're going to be working with them in, and then they sign it. And it's a very straightforward. You could do a one-time showing agreement here.
I don't understand the one-time showing agreement idea, though. Like, why would you want to have an agreement with someone where you're just showing them a house?
I don't. But
yeah, I don't really understand that.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because if you're showing them a house and you're going to work for them, then you want to represent them on whatever transaction they decide to do, right?
Yeah,
you don't get any money for showing them a house.
No, but you at least want to represent them for that one house if they do buy that one house.
So it's not, the agreement isn't just to show them the house, it's if they buy that house.
Correct. It's still a buyer's rep
okay.
agreement.
I guess I misunderstood I'm not seeing it, so I misunderstood.
You're still representing them for that house. You'd still become procuring cause. So
But do you know the first time I bought a house, you know how many houses I looked at?
Oh, probably a lot.
Wore my realtor out. So,
but you'd be surprised how many people don't look at multiple houses. We just had a closing 2 weeks ago, and these people contacted me. They wanted to buy a retirement home. Through the process over a couple months, they changed their needs. We ended up looking at one lake house in East Texas, and they bought it. And that was the only house they looked at.
How many times do you work with a buyer that only looks at one house versus one that looks at multiple houses?
It's probably not as common as I'm making it seem. That being said, there's so much information online for buyers nowadays. True. With floor plans and 3D tours and 4D photos. And we have like the lowest photo set allowed in like most MLS. Some MLSs have like 100 photos.
Oh.
We have 40. And that's an increase from 25 that we had for a long time.
100's a lot.
But I mean, the fact that you can literally show the schools and the parks and everything.
No, I get it for sure.
And agents, I think, have gotten a lot better. Some agents have gotten a lot better at, with video, and, now you got drone stuff. And
that's one thing that you do really well is prepping the house to go online.
Yeah.
So you do the Matterport 3D camera. I mean, every time I talk to you, you're like, I'm driving to Sherman to sit in a house for 3 hours to do a Matterport video. Yeah. And so you do that really well. But the thing I like that you do the most is that website for that listing.
Oh, yeah.
I like that because you can just text that website to somebody really quickly.
Yeah.
It has all the information about the property, all the photos. That is my favorite thing that you do.
Oh, cool.
As a buyer, or as a seller, a buyer, either one.
Anyone, yeah.
I love those single listing websites.
Yeah, because it's got a video that pre-plays at the top. It's got the description, all the amenities.
Very well put together. Looks very professional.
Very clean. It's
very
got
clean.
Yeah, all the photos, 3D
Easy to click
tour, video, floor plan, has stuff about the city. Yeah, it's a really good single page landing page. And we always buy the domain for that address. So if someone calls us, we can just
It was funny what you told me happened in Perrin.
Yeah. And that one I let go because I thought I didn't need it because it was just going to be a rental for a while.
Yeah.
And it ended up timing out, and we probably won't even have to talk about what happened with it.
It went
funny, though.
underground. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone stole the domain out from under me, and they forwarded it to an explicit website, and I didn't realize that. And when we were going to sell it, recently, I thought that the domain still linked properly, and I was sending it out to a whole bunch of people, and someone replied back, and it wasn't giving me a thumbnail or anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is weird. And it wasn't until someone's like, what is up with the site you just sent me? And I went to open it, and I was logged into the Compass Wi-Fi system because I was at the office. And it wouldn't let me get to the site. It kept saying it was blocked.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah. And I was super frustrated. I didn't know if something was wrong with my computer. I didn't know. And then finally I ended up going and looking through the Whois and looking, like, it's called ICANN. You can see like who owns the web domain and all sorts of stuff. And I ended up finding who bought it, where it linked to in LA, and yeah, it went to an X-rated. X-rated?
But
X-rated?
I don't understand the point of that, because it's...
I
don't want to stay on this topic very long.
It's just a random house address.
Well, I know. And how does that help them?
I mean, they can look at web traffic, and they can look at domains that are up for sale and received a lot of, clicks over the last year or whenever.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
And we had used it multiple times, and it was a good-looking house, low-priced house. I mean, it's probably one of the highest performing for showings and everything. So maybe some web guy was like, hey, that seems like a good domain, to
idiot.
I mean, I sent it to a couple dozen people, so
I bet you did.
They got some traffic out of it.
Anything unique or interesting that you're seeing right now? I mean, we're supposed to be going into the summer selling season, and
yeah. I was talking to the mayor of Princeton yesterday, and she said that they either have approved or they are about to approve a moratorium on new construction because the homes are being built faster than the infrastructure is, and they don't want it to end up like the 380 section of Denton.
The worst place on the planet.
Yeah. So, they're TxDOT Collin County over there, and TxDOT Denton County we had TxDOT at the mastermind, right? And he talked about how Collin County contributes a lot more funds to it, so they
moves a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. Well, Denton County is just struggling so bad that they've decided to reallocate their sources to Denton County. They had to put Collin County's section of 380 through Princeton on hold, or really slowed down. So Princeton had to they're putting a moratorium on new construction. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So they're going to cap it or limit it.
Yep. So that builders aren't just building, because like you go in there right now down into the peninsula, and there's 100 homes at a time. I could show you a video. It almost looks eerie. You can just drive down street after street after street, literally 100 homes.
Just construction
that are all in the same phase. That like they're literally pouring driveway. They're all just one-story home, just hundreds of them. And I mean, you build 100 homes, and they're completely sold out in these communities. So you have 100 homes that all sell at the same time, and you're adding 2 cars per household, like just in that one phase. I mean, it creates just massive amounts of traffic.
Yeah.
It's 2 lanes going into some of those neighborhoods when you cross bridges and stuff, and you leave there and you're just like, glad I'm not going that way.
Yeah.
Because that's an hour just to get into a neighborhood. It's really bad. Poor planning on TxDOT's part or whoever did all that. But so yeah, we're seeing stuff like that start to happen. Where the demand again has been pent up over the last few years. Now they're going towards a new construction, and new construction is getting kind of overwhelmed again.
I'm very grateful at how thoughtful Salina is about a lot of their planning. You know, it makes me very grateful to live where I live. I mean, before I moved up there, Windsong was my ooh la la of choice. And while they're at I don't know if this has changed because I never go on. I do not get on 380. But I had a friend that lived in Union. What is it? Union Park?
Yeah.
And I went to try to go visit her one day, close to traffic time. Oh my heavens. Yeah. I almost turned around. I was like, I can't do this. Like I just can't, I am not built to sit in this kind of traffic. So I don't know if, because that Union Park's after Windsong, like if you're going west on 380.
Yes.
So has the traffic gotten...
You mean from the tollway?
Yes, yes, sorry. Has the traffic gotten even more backed up on 3? I mean, I saw you do a post the other day about it.
Yeah, yesterday. I've made a couple posts about it because I'm listing a couple houses in Denton right now, and one's going live today. So I had to go out there yesterday and just finalize a few things, move the key to a different lockbox and stuff. And I would normally avoid 380, and I did yesterday. I took tollway down to 121 all the way to 35 up to 380, and then 380 going back west.
That's
going
crazy.
Back east, just to avoid 380.
That section, yeah.
But I live off of 380, so for me to go from that house to home, it made sense to not go all the way south again and avoid 35. But it was still an hour to travel like 25 miles.
Yeah.
And it's just stopped.
That's ridiculous. Traffic. We're starting to see some weirdness on Dallas Parkway. So I used to live at the end where Dallas Parkway stopped, right?
Yeah.
Now it goes all the way to the Grayson County line. And at the corner of FM, I don't know what, and 428?
2478 or whatever.
I don't know.
Fish Trap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dallas Parkway where they're putting the hospital in.
Oh, way up there.
Yeah, okay, way up there.
Yeah, you're in Salina.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yes, I was at the end. But anyway, so they're putting in the big hospital there.
Yep.
They've started digging ground on our HEB. Thank you, Jesus. And then now they're tearing up Dallas Parkway and every time. I mean, one day I was trying to go south on Dallas Parkway. They had it's 2 lanes. One lane was shut off 4 times between my house and 380.
Oh, wow.
And I follow at least 5 concrete trucks every time I go somewhere. I mean, and yesterday a bulldozer, I swear, was going to hit my car because they're slinging rock and moving dirt all over the place up there. And it's something like, it's almost like they started a whole bunch of projects. They just turned the light switch on, right? Yeah. I preferred what I had seen Salina do and Prosper do is a little bit more graduate, construction. Something's happened. There's just, like I said, it's like a light switch went off, and it's literally tearing up roads, tearing up either side of Dallas Parkway, all over the place.
They got that tax money from last year.
Oh, is that what it was? Anyway, all right. Well, I think this is a great place to stop for today.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me.
Was that it?
That's it.
I thought it was an hour. I'm like, we got to talk for an hour. Okay.
No, only half an hour.
I'm trying to pace myself.
I think we're a couple minutes over at this point, or somewhere right around 30 minutes. But nope, we only talked for 30 minutes, Chris.
Sweet.
Pretty painless, right?
The calendar invite said an hour. I thought we had to talk for an hour.
Yeah, we'll
didn't know how we would wing it for an hour.
We could wing it for an hour. But thank you very much for joining me.
Yes,
I really appreciate you, as always, and all the things you do to support real estate and support us at Lawyers Title. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And that's another episode. Thank you for joining me. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gady. If you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. So give me an opportunity to talk to you about your title needs and make it a great day.